I was gonna say, as I did my laser right in running it. And then we have our handy dandy note-taking document on the other left or the other right, depending on which way you're looking at the screen. We have a couple friends online as well. So I believe when I last left, there was just, when Greta was there and Leanne was there. And I guess I could turn off my camera, but you could see my snowflakes.
We do have tiny URLs for bit.ly links, if that's easier for you to access on your computer.
Oh, we also have Keely joining us online. So ladies that are online, please let us know if the volume is okay for you, if you can hear us as we're speaking.
Matthew did reach out and confirm, and I believe Loretta said loud and clear.
Perfect, thank you.
Also,
So-
Leanne.
So again, the sign-in for the network is different than the morning, and your certificate from this afternoon will actually come from that sign-in. Your certificate from the morning came in from the morning evaluation that was done at the end of your choose your own adventure session. And then again, the note-taking document has all of our resources and then some. We always like to add
Does to
addendum.
read either of these links instead of the QR code?
They are a little light. We probably should have used a different color.
I realize that.
Yeah.
We also emailed at least the note-taking document.
Yes.
Which might have to find your list.
We try to give you as much as we can upfront so that way you can be as prepared as possible. Are you in? Very good, thank you. Thank you for that.
We also should have put the link like these are at the top. Yeah.
We know that you may not have a lot of time to do a lot of pre-work, but at least it gives you time to get things up and running. So we're just gonna move ahead just a little bit while you're still getting organized, maybe. Okay, so we have to remind ourselves, but we also want to remind you that you are on camera. You are being recorded.
Thank you.
So be careful about what your behavior is and this. Be careful. But it's also to remind us to press record.
And a reminder that the conversations in this room are being picked up by our virtual participants. So sometimes that extra chatter can be distracting to our virtual participants. So just being mindful of the fact that we have a broader audience than in this room.
And this is our third time doing it. Each time I think we get a little bit better at it. And hopefully by the end, we'll be ready to go on the road.
All right.
So, welcome to our afternoon. You know who we are, but just in case.
I'm Hendrik Wolford. I'm Matthew D.
And I am Marla P. Matthew is on the keyboards, but. So here's our agenda for today. Please disregard the times. The times are truly just for us. We hope to stay within those limits. But you can see that we have some audacious possibilities that we want to bring forward to you. We're going to just, of course, ground you, because it's important to always ground you into the work. We have some updates, or we call them minor reminders, to keep you remembering those things that you want to think about if you are thinking of applying for recognition this coming year. We have a wonderful, or at least what we think is a wonderful resource. And actually, I've heard from quite a few principals that have found the resource that we're going to share with you today very valuable. You're going to do some work, because our goal is to make you work harder than us, which is what every teacher's goal should be. Their students should be working harder than they are. And then, of course, we are going to close. But the big thing about this is the important piece. Where is network? We want you to share your ideas. We want you to share the good things that you have done, because that's where we learn from each other. And though we may sound like we're sticking in the universal realm, we may pop in and out, because I'm hoping Sarah shares something that they're going to do for that they're doing, not going to do, that they're doing for tier 2. So we'll be able to share our points and our resources. How do you feel about that agenda? Again, don't look at the time. I can promise you I will not be good at that. Are we okay with the content? It's perfect. Apparently, I'm not allowed to play. Well, that's so weird. It is so weird. I'm not allowed to play. Anyway, you know, one of the things that's going to be coming up. Okay, now try that. There it is. are, of course, along with the objectives or the agenda, are always what we hope that's going to happen. And so we truly hope that you are going to be able to take away and do certain things, because there's no sense in keeping this information within this room. Your goal is to take this information forward to your full team, because that's the only way we can grow and improve our system. So again, you're going to network together, you're going to share your toys. You are going to get a review of those big concepts from the last session. We're going to de-escalate. We're going to explore a de-escalation resource, and then we're going to continue to be entertained, educated, and enthralled by Dr. Bruce Perry today. Jessica.
So before we get too much into that nitty gritty, we want to do a little check-in with all of you here and online. On a scale of ELF, how are you feeling today? And this gives us a good idea for where you are mentally and emotionally, so that we can kind of guide the way that we interact with all of you. So if you can take a minute to kind of review the different versions of ELF, and show with a finger, I don't know if you can see, but they are numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 9. I do apologize again, the numbers are kind of hard to read, but I'm pretty sure you can figure out the pattern. So kind of think about which ELF resonates with your well-being right now.
And you can be a blending.
Or maybe, what do you want to be as well? So here's where I am, and here's where I'm trying to be. Can you tell me with your fingers? Just think, memorize this. My number just changed. Can you show me with your fingers, because we should have enough fingers for this one. Where are you? Where are you right now?
Remember, always school appropriate fingers, please.
So wait, I see some 3s. I have 3. I would love to see some 2s, but I see some 5s. I'm with that. Some 2s are fun. I love the 2s. 5, okay. And a 6. 6. After the morning is 6. 7. Oh.
Online, we've got an 8, a 7, and a 2.
Oh, okay.
All right. Oh, 7, that's cute.
Yeah. There's a lot of opportunity here to have some different emotions.
And the beauty of it is all of those emotions are perfectly acceptable. And it's just as we should expect those with our scholars as well. And again, it's okay if you feel those different emotions throughout the course of an hour, a minute, nothing. It happens. Just like Jessica shared it. She moved from 1, she was a 2, and then she sort of went to a 5 by the.
Oh, yeah.
And then I'm not even gonna try to click.
No.
No,
So again, we're practicing our regulation skills.
Which is really a pretty unique thing, because oftentimes when we talk about this regulation, you immediately go to those big things, but this regulation even happens smaller, and as adults, we sort of like reel it in. But as always, our matrix,
Yes.
take a gander at this. We always want you to be present. Present is so important, but we also know how important and how busy you are. But if you can just be present for a short amount of time with us, we guarantee that you're going to take away different things that you can utilize tomorrow. I know that you've seen our matrix before, and I think one of my most favorite things is have fun while you're learning. We want you to talk to each other. We want you to laugh. We want you to giggle. We want you to do those things. If you need to move, you need to move. If you need to fidget, trust me, I'm the biggest fidgeter there is. Fidget. That's what we're here for.
Yes. Just say, I think we
Looks like
forgot
you
the
wanted to
fidget
say
boxes.
something
Yeah,
there.
we forgot the fidget boxes, so we apologize,
And
but
A lot
there
of
are,
germs going around right now, so I thought maybe this would be a time of pause on the shared fidget, because we have several staff members out right now, and we're just gonna keep our fidget things aside.
We do have our high five fidget, but funny story. We actually bought the fancy paper that actually rips nicely, so you don't have to rip it. But someone uses the copier the wrong way, and so therefore we do have our beautiful ticket still. You can still rip off the part where you get to sign your name, but it's not going to be. And, color, print, and paper, don't want to waste. I'm a big recycler, so know that our high fives are still out and about, but funny story, again, could dysregulate me, but there are worse things in this world. Like not being able to click them.
There you go.
So, we take 1 minute, think about the things that we talked about, or what we hope that you walk away with. And I know that you've been with us before, but that intention setting is important for us, because when you write something down, and when you actually say this is what you want to do, and this is how you're gonna get here, you're more apt to actually get there. Again, just checking my volume, are you okay with, can you hear me all the way over there? Perfect, so 60 seconds, you just check. And think about what you want to do with this information and how will you get there.
And also, if you have the notes page open, these questions can be found on that note page also, if you'd rather type.
Can you put the QR code back on?
Matt, can you put?
Certainly.
I will. There.
Or can you bring your computer over? to Dallas?
Yep. So that's.
That's why they're there. Finish up your thoughts. Remember, our attention getting signal is hands up, and when our hand goes up, your hand goes up as well. And remember, all attention getting signals must be visual as well as auditory, so that way, if somebody is facing the opposite direction, they can actually hear, and then also the support of everybody else around us. So hopefully you came up with wonderful intention, something that you want to do, something that you want to move forward. For those of you who were with us this morning for the tier 2 and tier 3, we were talking about functional behavior. You'll see that some of the information that we're moving into this afternoon actually will help you put interventions and supports in place for that function. But Hendrik,
Yes, ma'am.
I believe you're taking us off into a review, are you not?
Not yet. No, we're throwing it over to Jessica for updates.
So we do want to bring up some of the updates. We've been sharing these out, but we want to make sure that everybody is aware. The OLAC and PBIS Showcase registration is officially open. This is a fantastic professional learning opportunity that will take place online. It's kind of weird this year because it's live, but it's still virtual, which means that the sessions will be run in time, but they do record all of those sessions. So if you are unavailable on that exact day, which is January 31st, and it's kind of hidden on the one graphic, if you aren't available that day, or you have other meetings you have to be in and out, they do record all those sessions, but you have to be registered in order to have access to all of that content. We do have some local schools that will be presenting. I know that Austintown local schools will be presenting a PBIS themed one. Niles Middle School is presenting on Check and Connect. And then we have Liberty, I don't know which building, but Liberty School is going to be presenting one of the OLAC sessions as well. So a lot of local representation and just statewide representation. So we strongly recommend that you register for that. It's free. So it's an amazing resource. We also wanted to point out so that we had, for those of you who were here this morning, we had our big celebration of our building and district recognition. Those certificates have come in. So if you are one of the friends that are online that have received that recognition, I have your certificates and I will be in touch very soon to communicate how I gotta get those to you. But Also, all of those celebrations are now housed on our website. So I know there were some questions about when were we updating that. So we do have those scrolling on our website under PBIS, so SST5.org, and then under PBIS, there's recognitions and celebrations. So if you are sharing on your social media platforms within your own school or district or families or communities, however else you can celebrate that, you're welcome to pass those or screenshot those graphics or whatever you need to do, but we did get those updated. And then, of course, we have to remind you of our new TFI Tuesday episodes. We had one recently that's dropped a couple Tuesdays ago, or last Tuesday, sorry. And then we'll have another one released, I believe, next Tuesday. Matthew's laughing. Okay, so a Tuesday very soon. It is recorded, he's just in the process of cleaning it up, and all of our gasps and our ums and our hums. But those are a fantastic resource for you and your team to really understand what the TFI means and how to bring it to life and how to apply that content. And we are this year digging deeper into those tier 2 kind of concepts, because I know last year we covered a lot of tier 1. And based on your feedback, we're trying to tie in some of those tier 2 conversations as well. So those are the big updates. I will sprinkle that, I know many of you want to know about recognition, and the new application has not been formally released yet. We are hoping that it will be finalized very soon. I know that it was sent to the powers that be to make sure that all of our T's were crossed and our I's are dotted and all the languages, the grammar is correct and all of that. So as soon as that application is released, we will make sure to send it out to our network to communicate those expectations. And then the folders will be released shortly thereafter that. But we strongly encourage you to just continue collecting your evidence of just good quality implementation with fidelity. So a lot of your system might not have changed at all from last year, but we know that those meeting minutes, those great conversations your teams are having, make sure you're documenting those and keeping those for yourselves, so that whenever the folders do open up, you're just gonna slide them right over into those folders as well. For those of you that are interested in applying for recognition, and I apologize, I went rogue and that was not part of this. Okay, thank you. I don't know who are we now? Oh, what's the next slide? Oh, yes, that one, okay. So with that, Marla mentioned that we are in fact a network, and while we have a lot of experience and know a lot of great things, we also know that you all are doing some fantastic things in your teams, in your buildings, in your schools, in your districts. So we wanted to take just a couple of minutes for your team to discuss some of those team practices. So again, those of you who are here this morning, this is kind of tied to those conversations. And what we did is we pulled out some common team practices or protocol that you should be considering in your meetings, regardless of what building level or what level you're at. So whether it's that, maybe it's just the PBIS team all the way up through your DLT, where are these different conversations taking place? Matthew, are you able to open up that team practices link? If not, I can't. Yeah. So these are the different team practices that we know make a high quality team discussion. So what right now we just want you to think about your own meetings that you're involved in. Does your team celebrate good news? What does your team celebrate at each meeting? What are your different teaming roles that are involved? Do you have all the different types of voices involved in your discussion? And you have specific assigned responsibilities so that it's not all falling on one person's shoulders. Your agenda organization, what type of format are you using for your agenda? Is it the same exact template every time, or is it just running notes, or how do you organize your agendas? Matthew, can you scroll down more? Because I didn't memorize all of these. Data. This one's my favorite. How do you document what data your team's looking at, what those data tell you,
and then what your team is going to do about it, because we know that was the one weakness across the region and honestly across the state, is how are we documenting those great discussions that are taking place of student and adult data. So we want you to think about what is your team doing this year, and maybe some of you've changed a little bit even since the beginning of this year. Action plan review, that was really fun. How is your team bringing back the action plan into those discussions? Action steps for your team. What are you doing next? So we made all these great decisions. How do we know who's doing what next? And then barriers and solutions. Does your team ever talk about those barriers instead of just complaining about them or just admiring those problems? But how does your team address barriers and find solutions for those barriers? And again, how is that all documented, or is it not? You know, some of it informal. And then resource sharing. Do you ever go back to your teams and say, hey, I found this great article. Hey, I got this amazing resource when I was networking at the network. And then Hendrik and I have to pull this one in. Is attendance ever brought to those discussions in your PBIS team as well? Because we know that more and more PBIS teams are also looking at attendance data as well, because we know how culture impacts student attendance. So this is a lot. And we're gonna give you a few minutes to kind of network through each of these items. What are you doing that's working? And maybe steal some ideas from other people. So we're gonna try this, but it's really hard to guess how many people will have in the room. In your cubbies, in the center of your table, are some playing cards. So if each of you could draw a playing card. And if we have any groups of one, we're gonna pair you up. So those of you who are in the room, we're gonna have you find the people with the same number as you. Those of you that are online, I believe we have a small enough group that we're gonna keep you all together to have these same conversations. Marla's gonna make sure that you guys have access to all that information, maybe Matthew is too, but we'll send you guys into your own little networking discussion while us here in the live, well, I mean, you're alive too, but the physical room, if you guys can please stand up with your cards and find who has the same number. And again, oh, and Joker is wild. You get the pitch. If any of you got the Joker. Oh, dang it. Sorry. No.
Hi, everybody. We're going to put you in your breakout room any second now. In the chat, I'm going to put in the LIP document just in case you didn't have access to it. I know it's a little loud in our room. I apologize. But Matthew is going to put you in the breakout room now.
We're always together.
Those of you who saw my hand signal, recognize the opportunity to share thoughts. And then also share so that we could see that we're ready to move on. Those were fantastic discussions. So I do apologize that we did not. Are we okay, Marla?
Yep.
Okay, just making sure. Okay.
Yeah, keep
Okay.
speaking.
So we do apologize. That was more than the 4 minutes that the slide said, but I heard a really good conversation over here. And this is the purpose of this, is to truly network and to learn what other people are doing. Because all of you, even as you're experiencing some frustrations, you're all doing great things. You all have information to share. So we do appreciate your willingness to talk with each other. I know that it takes a little bit of that vulnerability to get on your feet and have this conversation. But we appreciate you. And I also heard you talking through those different practices. So I'm not going to require anybody to share, but did anybody have a big aha that they heard that they would like to share with the bigger group? Be it my friends online or those of you here in the room. Was there any big aha that you heard?
Oh, she was saying at her district, after they have been absent for 2 days, they send home like a nudge postcard, like, hey, you've been absent this meeting. She said that they have to take data back to the DLP and it showed that it actually worked.
Wonderful.
Someone to track, their PBIS person track the data, and they said that this made them come.
Yeah.
My friend, yes, not before you, but yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Nudge postcards, yeah, Angel.
At Struthers, this is so cool, everybody should do this. Struthers and Hubbard, every year they play each other in football, but they collaborate together to see who wins attendance, tardies, and all that week. And then the losing principal has to wear the other team's jersey.
Oh, I love that.
Right? So that is.
I see like feverish writing.
Isn't that cool?
Oh my
Right?
goodness.
You don't just look at the football score, you look at what the behaviors that led. Isn't that cool?
I love that.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for sharing that. Oh my goodness. Marla, you had your hand up. Is there something you would like to share, or is there somebody online that's willing to share a big aha that they took away from their virtual breakout?
Well, I'm not sure, I was trying to add. Because Leanne, I don't know, I took my earbuds off, so I can't tell if you're hearing me or not. But Leanne was sharing about a cool thing that they're doing with, that their students are in houses now and they earn buttons, and Leanne, I really did not do a good job at explaining that, so if that's something that you'd like to share, because I found that very intriguing.
Sure, I can share a little bit. This is something new that we've done this year at BL. We used to have a reward every week for students with good behavior. And when we looked at our data and we got feedback at the end of the year, there was just a lot of data supporting that we needed a change. We needed a change. We needed a refresh and an adjustment. So over the summer, we came up with houses, and we had a big assembly at the start of the year as we were going through all of our expectations at school. And all of the kids were put into, we call them at our school keeping their promises. And we have 4 of them: be responsible, respectful, safe, and positive. So each student was put into a house, as well as every staff member. And then we also have a staff member who is the house leader. It's a little Harry Potter-esque, in a way, but each house also has a colored lanyard. So as you see students going through the hallway, you see their house. It's a way to connect with students as well, if it's a younger or older student, to staff members, because you're in the same house and you can see that visual with the lanyards. Well, then we decided on the lanyards that we would have the students' names so we could also greet them. And they have a large button, 5-inch, with their house name on it. And the students designed the picture on the button. And then throughout the year, there are various things that we're coming up with that the students can earn 1-inch buttons for their house. We have a house cup at the end of each 9 weeks where it's student selected what they get to win. And we have house meetings once a week where there are, PBIS kind of activities. and they earn a button if they win the House Cup. We were talking about the attendance piece. They earn a button if they have perfect attendance for the 9 weeks or on a roll if they're participating. Right now we're having a canned food drive, and we had a contest for on last Friday, the house that brought in the most cans of peanut butter and jelly. And we're working with Student Senate, and they help collect that. So those buttons were handed out today. So, lots of various reasons, but as we go through the year, and the kids are really starting to buy into the buttons. Our Trojan of the Month gets a button. So there's a lot of different facets involved. I hope that helps. And I'd be willing to share more if anybody wants more information about that. But again, we're just kind of kicking that off this year.
That's wonderful, Leanne. Thank you so much for sharing, and it's amazing to hear what has happened since even the last time that I've spoken to you. I know there is a formal system, so I don't know if you guys are using, I think it's called the Ron Clark House System. Is that what you're using, or is it a different version of it? But
It's a version. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I know there's also a school up in Ashtabula County there's a middle school that's doing the same kind of house mentality. I didn't hear, yours sounds, Leanne, very much like you're able to pull in those purple positives, the promises, right into that house system, which I think is a beautiful way to tie those things together. But I've seen great success with those kind of systems. So thank you so much for sharing that. Any other big ahas or takeaways from our little networking? Shelley, I'd love to hear.
Mine's kind of a negative one. Michael was asking me, we were talking about communication and how we communicate out. And I said, well, our PBIS team, we have a TBT schedule. One of them is geared towards PBIS, we share there. And he said, well, how about we share it up? It doesn't go. It doesn't go to the DLP. So that is like a big star. We need to look at it.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, because you're not alone in the room by any means. And it's a great opportunity to really, how are we moving this information forward? We often move it back down. Okay, you're gonna share it up to your team, you're gonna share it to your team, but how are we?
In our building.
Yeah. Thanks so much for sharing that, Shelley.
I know Sarah does a lovely report to her board meeting and to where they share information out to a variety of different individuals. So that's even another possibility right there. And you weren't saying anything about that.
They overshare a lot.
That's the thing, is oversharing. That's the whole point of this.
Well, I thank you all for getting out of your seats and your comfort zones. Say goodbye to your new friends. Your original seats. Yes, we're gonna keep those. Thank you. This is the one you gotta get. And Henry's gonna take you back in time to the last session.
So, we're gonna have another opportunity to speak with people around us here in just a second, to share ideas. In September, y'all had asked us for some resources regarding social emotional behavior for students and how to work with those students to get the most out of them. And so last time in October, we looked at this resource entitled Supporting and Responding to Students' Social, Emotional, and Behavioral Needs. And we're gonna have you do a table talk with each other here in just a minute, but just a quick refresher on this. So we asked you to, last time, look at this resource, and it's divided into 3 different sections. Talk about the different sections and how you could apply them to your building, to your district, what's being done or what's not being done, and then kind of go from there and grow from there as well. So the 3 main parts in this document, there are steps to support and respond to social emotional behavior. There are practice tables in there, and those practice tables look at creating positive environments for the classroom. It gives some positive examples and some non-examples of what that can look like in the classroom. Some other tables are actively promoting social emotional behavioral growth in the classroom, and then using data to guide the outcomes and then monitoring those outcomes throughout the process in the classroom and throughout the building district as well. So what we would like you guys to do, and if you want to, so some people are gonna have to combine. But like I said, we're gonna do a table talk, and people online, we're gonna put you into a breakout room with Marla again. But we're gonna have you talk about what's working in your district. Have you looked at this document? If you haven't, it's okay. It is linked here for those of you that have it open. It's also in your notes page as well. It's entitled New/Old Resource. If you click on that, it'll open it up directly. And it's a 38-page document, but it is actually not that long. There's a lot of references at the end and things like that. So there are some very short sections. Again, there's 3 parts to it. So if you could take 5-6 minutes to talk with your table. Again, if you need to combine tables, that's okay. Or if you want to go to another table to join other buildings, you know, if Michael and Shelley want to share again, and bring Kanye and his district together, that's fine as well. So again, go ahead, click on this, open it up, talk about what's working in your district, what's not working in your district in the way of PBIS, and how can we help support student social emotional growth. Let's go.
Yeah, so what do you think
Is this muted or? Yeah, we go. Yes. We didn't go into great detail about it. You know,
That was the very first. So then what was the next one? This one?
No, they didn't even know. Wasn't it the first guy?
First one we did that. I don't know what.
Yes, I'm not seeing
But I know it was. And we had them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we had them talk about each of these 3 sections. So steps to support and respond to social engagement, the Francis statements. So I think we talked about that. And then we talked about the. We didn't go through every single one, but showed them where to find them, how to navigate them. Then we talked about that action. Yeah, when they're listed, they're described as particular listed.
Oh, it's the actual in the.
There's a.
I remember.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Matthew is going to be putting us back, hopefully.
Let's take about one more minute to finish up. Doesn't usually give you like a warning, it was there. That's why I said, give me about 3 seconds. Cause like people don't, I'm like, as I like, they came back. What happened? And then you like. Oh, wait, the sign.
She's not.
All right, go ahead and finish up your sentence with your group. Thank you very much. I heard some great conversations about what is working in your building in regards to social emotional behavior in the classroom. Does anybody want to share out? Just us.
Share out from someone who wasn't able to be here today, she wanted to share that.
Okay,
She said that she actually took this document and took it back to her TBTs. And as a TBT, they looked at their data and then determined that they were going to use it to implement a strategy that they found within the resource, and they were going to bring it back the next time. So that's how she actually operationalized it.
nice.
I guess I could give her a virtual high five if something.
Would anybody else like to share? Yes.
You know, Jody shared with me, she's in high school and, she's K-8, but she's on the top level, and she is in charge of them. And it's the older kids, though, right?
Yeah.
So the charter, so she actually, they're out of space, so she didn't have sensory rooms or anything like that. So really just keeping that SEL in the classroom, giving the teachers that teaching time, so if there's a student that looking at their triggers, get them to a safe space where they can de-escalate and come to my office. And so making that connection with them is really important, not seeing the principal as just for the educational leader is just somebody who is going to discipline, but also somebody who's going to help is so important.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yeah, creating that safe space really is so important, you know. I think, so I used to be a middle school principal, and there's a student who I always think of, great kid, but struggled socially, and oftentimes he would hide under a desk. And the teacher was like, you know, you can't hide under there, you can't be under there, but he would do his work under there. So I said, is he causing any disruptions under there? No. Is he doing what he's supposed to be doing under there, other than not being under there? Yeah, he's doing his work. So that was his escape. He felt safe under there for whatever reason, and you know, we were able to create an environment for him and the teacher to understand when that was necessary to do it, and you know, help the student out, and really help him out socially doing it. Nice. Anybody else? All right. Well, thank you for sharing. Again, this is a great document. You know, if you have new teachers that are trying to figure out what their classroom should look like, if you have veteran teachers who are struggling in what their classroom could look like, it really is a great resource to help out classroom environment. I'm gonna throw it over to Matt, and he's gonna share a little bit of info with us and go from there. Uh-oh. That's not me, that's the room. There it is. You're right. I don't know where the clicker went, but
Right here, if it were.
so what we know about behavior, or how we should think about behavior, is all behavior is a form of communication, right? So our sort of theme for today, or my theme for the next few minutes, is going to be just that, right? Behavior is a form of communication. Yeah, and so starting us off is this quote from Dr. Lori DeSaltels. And that goes, beneath every behavior, there's a feeling. And beneath each feeling, there's a sensation that drives our needs for safety, connection, and calm. And when we meet that need, rather than focus on behavior, we begin to deal with the physiological cause, not the behavior. And I just really think that that's really important for us to think about when we have those students that want to hide underneath the desk. Right? They have those outbursts, anger issues. When we think, why are they doing this to me? Since behavior is a communication, or is some form of communication, And unfortunately for us, a lot of times going into it or starting off, that communication usually comes in the form of a foreign language to us. Right? We don't know why they're doing what they're doing. We don't know the root of the behavior. So that's part of the reason why we picked the iceberg, which we've all seen icebergs before. We've seen the analogy, or at least the comparison. Because what we usually see on the surface is not what's underneath the water. So what you don't see is the physical safety, the basic needs. Are they being met? You know, attachment. Maybe they're sleep deprived. Maybe they're lacking in executive functioning skills, power, fear, security, physical safety. I mean, it just honestly, I mean, I hate to say it, but it kind of goes on and on and on. But our video this morning with Dr. Bruce Perry, I really, really like, because he's going to talk to us and answer some of our questions regarding behaviors and what we can do to sort of help, right? To sort of connect. So I'm going to. I'm going to jump right to the video, because this week's video, or this month's video, is actually the power connection. So it connects really well. I didn't mean to say that. It connects really well with the quote that we just read, as well as the iceberg that we used. So let's hear from Dr. Bruce Perry.
Educators, when they have a child who's sort of out of control or hard to manage in a classroom, it's really hard not to personalize that behavior. It's hard not to get frustrated. It's hard to, in your mind, not say, God, what is wrong with you? Why are you doing this? But what will happen, we believe, is that when you have an opportunity to help educators understand the impact of developmental trauma or other adversities on the development of the child, particularly the development of the brain, they begin to reframe this to really what happened in your past that has led to this dysregulated behavior that is now being manifest in my classroom. And what that does is it makes a huge shift in the teacher feels more comfortable, because they understand, you know, he or she understands that this isn't a badness. This is a struggle. You know, this kid's struggling. And so if you can maintain what we call this empathic bond, it means the teacher is then going to be in a much better position to interact with the child in a way that will lead to de-escalation and decreased, you know, difficult behaviors. The challenge for an educator, of course, is that you're in the classroom, and how are you going to address, you know, equity in the community? It's a tough, you really can't. I mean, you in that moment, as you teach, are not going to be able to change poverty in your neighborhood, or change income inequality, or other things that contribute to the broader conditions that dysregulate the families and the kids that you work with. But what you can do in a classroom is create a community of respect, a community of regulation. You know, there's all kinds of really simple regulatory things that you can do to make everybody kind of perform at their best. And then you can always focus on celebrating diversity, helping children learn how to not be afraid of differences, but to celebrate differences. And so you can work on these problems where you are without feeling the burden of solving, you know, the global problems, which I think for many educators becomes sort of paralyzing. You know, here we are, you're giving us crap about standards and about testing and about this, and now you want us to be experts in trauma and social emotional learning. And so part of what we try to do in this model is help educators understand that, listen, you have a lot of power in the little moments that you have with these kids. And that power can have transforming impact for many of these kids. You can help them feel rewarded, you can help them feel regulated, you can help them feel respected, you can help them essentially physiologically become healthier. And it doesn't take, it's really not what you know, it's how you are. It's the way you interact with them. If you listen, if you calm yourself down and let all that stuff go, and let these moments with these kids be true moments where you're right there with them. They only have to be seconds long. They'll feel it, you'll both feel rewarded and regulated, and then you can get back to whatever else you're doing. One of the things that a lot of people, when they hear this, are kind of wondering about it and almost afraid of is like, well, how do I connect with 40 kids in a classroom? And I just want to reassure people that the timeline for connecting with a person is literally milliseconds. That if you as the teacher feel regulated and confident, you can, with the tiniest little glance, make a child feel like you're paying attention to them. Because the reality is, you are. If you as the teacher are regulated and you're really in that moment listening to a student as they talk, they'll feel that. You don't need to be relationally in a personal relationship with every single kid, but you need to be relationally present and relationally respectful, and that only takes a moment. Now, the other thing that's really a powerful tool for educators is that children see how a teacher treats another student. And so if they see you treat another student that's struggling with respect and kindness, they're able to generalize that to how they will treat you. And so the challenge of being connected with kids in your classroom is not as great as somebody might otherwise think. It really, these little moments are powerful. And so in the hallway, if you see a kid that you know is in your classroom, and you just take a moment and say, hey, what class are you going to? And wow, you noticed me. And if you say their name, little things like that literally can create a relational connection. And furthermore, those interactions are regulating. So it makes the child feel connected and safer. And which means that even though you don't realize it, you doing that for that 10 seconds in the hallway makes this student better capable of learning in the next classroom, because his cortex will be more available for business.
Don't you just love him? I mean, I just feel like he's talking to me and not at me, but like we're just like, he's just talking to me. So that's part of the reason why we like Dr. Bruce Perry so much. But before I give the clicker back over to Marlon, I want to continue with this theme of communication and connection, and we're just going to do a little quick little rapid write. So all behaviors of communication have an unmet need. So I want you to just, for 30 seconds, just sitting there, no writing. I just want you to think about and answering those two questions. How might you support a student to meet that need as far as safety, connection, and calm goes? How might you help them feel safe, connected, and calm? So maybe some things that you could do. And then after that 30 seconds, and I'll time it all so you don't have to worry about the time, we'll do a little write for 1 minute, and then we'll come back 30 seconds. Gonna have you read, circle 3 main ideas, words or phrases from what you've written, and we'll move on. So, anyone got a timer? No, I got it. Okay, so 30 seconds. Think about those 2 questions, answer them in your head first, and go. All right, time's up. All right, so for the next minute, all those things that you just thought about in your head, I want you to put down on paper. There's a place in your note-taking document to record this information. Just try to get all that stuff down on paper. Don't stop writing for 1 minute. So I challenge you with that. Write as much as you can, starting now. Keep writing. Don't stop. 10 more seconds, you can do it. It's like a Peloton commercial. Keep it up, people. Come on out there. And time is up. All right, so now for the next 30 seconds, I just want you to go back to what you wrote down. And think about what amongst these ideas should be shared with your teams. Are these common ideas / practices across the school or district? Because oftentimes, best practice isn't common practice. And just because it's implemented in your classroom or one of your classrooms, doesn't mean it's implemented across your building or all classrooms. So for 30 seconds, read and circle 3 main ideas, words, phrases, things that you want to take back, share, or things that you need to take back and share. So I'm going to start the timer once again. And go. Star them.
That's much more profound in my head.
One more seconds. 5 more seconds. All right, with those things circled, starred, underlined, whatever you had to do, think about those going back tomorrow to your buildings, to the district. Think about those and who do you need to share those with? Who do you need to talk to about those things? Maybe check in about those. And now Marla is going to lead us into our next activity, which is going back to the resource, like we have in the last several sessions. And as we promised you to do for the remaining part of the year, Marla?
Well, as you know, it's 2:15, and we actually get to end at 2:30. So I want to share with you what we wanted to do, but I need your help in deciding what we should do. Let me flip just to this. We were actually going to break you up into groups and have you review a certain section of this wonderful document and then share out with us. Because one of the most wonderful things out there about teaching others information helps you remember that. But you can't do that in 15 minutes. At least you can't do it well in 15 minutes. You can probably do it. So tell me, what would be best for you? How should we proceed with this information? So that way you can walk out, leaving us on December 5th with information, but yet time to process it. I'm open to ideas. Yes, sir.
We stay here at a table and, or are we gonna? You said break up, right?
You can
Could
stay.
we stay at the table and do like a review? Just maybe both in general or,
Sure.
and maybe just talk to each other about it?
Sure. Anybody else have any other ideas of how to proceed? Wendy, I know you're by your, oh, no, you're not by yourself.
Yeah, I don't know where she went.
Okay. You're not her keeper.
Like a Padlet and like everybody puts one sticky note on the Padlet and then we can get with us to go.
Absolutely. Mhm.
Like everybody just kind of look through it as one takeaway and then we'll have a whole sticky Padlet of all the takeaways.
Okay, that'll take us a second to do like a Jamboard-ish kind of thing, but that could be done. So read as deeply as you can for the next few minutes, but I do encourage you to at least read pages 3 to 5. I'm not gonna spend time setting you up, which is what a teacher would do, so that you be successful with this. But it is about the crisis cycle. I'm breaking another rule. Never talk and pass out paper. That is another rule I'm breaking. But what we hope this will do is every time we get together, we want to give you something you can take back and you can legitimately use tomorrow. This will not take a lot of work to use. You can bring it back to TBTs, you can bring it back to your leadership team, you can bring it back to your PBIS team. But what we hope to do is, yes, it is 3 whole times, we try to think of you guys. Thank you. So it is 2:19. How about if I give you just 8 minutes to get into the document? You can read it quietly, you can read it with a friend. Jessica, are you making a jam board or anything? I'm gonna go in the closet. Okay, you're going up into my room. Oh, it's a beautiful room. We will make a jam board for you, share a link with you. And then this is definitely going to be something we're gonna bring back next time, because we want you to really feel comfortable with this information. So give me a second, I'll put the jam board.
Marla, what's the document you were saying that, like, there were some of those things that were using it?
Yeah, I had already shared that out with another district.
Oh, this is lovely.
But that's. I think so.
Orla, I have one open. Do you want me to set it to that? A jam board, I have one open.
I'm saying they're trying to, must be able to be as creative as I want to be.
Well, it's not great. I'm still waiting on it now.
Okay, send it away.
Then I'll just, or
And you have, can you create a short link?
yeah, I'm gonna send him this one.
Yes. we just got a break.
We didn't share the camera. Big Hendrick said he sent it. He did not. Vincent, where did we send it?
Yeah, you get it? It's in the chat.
Oh, you can put it in the chat. That helps them, but it doesn't help us. We're gonna do that. The exam board link with you.
Sorry, put it in the link, or in the chat. Should be in there. Yep.
What is this right here? We're doing more. This regulation. Right, so it's all still here. Whatever, yeah, but like.
And then they asked me to put a bunch of that stuff.
Marlo, they're coming back in town.
Good talk.
Can you put the jam work link on the resolutions on the note page? Right. Sorry.
You got it? What do you got? So first, thank you for your flexibility in allowing us to change the way we were originally going to do things.
Yeah.
I know that you're gonna put this someplace safe to where you can bring that back, but you don't have to wait for us to continue on with it. Because the purpose of this is to constantly empower you so that you can empower others, because that's our mission. Our mission, Angel has heard this from me 9 million times, is to work myself out of a job. So that way that you can go forward and you can even just come up and do this for us, with us. That is truly my goal, because I need one, every building, every classroom, every district to be not a teaching environment, but a learning environment and a teaching environment. So Matthew so kindly has put on the screen for our Jamboard. It's also the bit.ly link, so you can go straight forward to it. It's not going to go anywhere until they discontinue Jamboard, which I can't remember when that's gonna happen. But even after. So even after today, if you want to add in little things of what you could do with this information or how this resonates with you, and please know, dysregulation looks different depending on the age of the scholar. And remember, a dysregulated adult cannot regulate a dysregulated child. That is our quote for this year. And we have dysregulated adults because of all of the stress we're feeling all the time. So this takes into consideration our adults too, because they're also on this continuum at times. So take a moment, jot something in there. I know that it is 2:29 and some of you are going back to a bigger group to work even longer. We also have a little parting gift for you on the presentation because I know many of you are working from moving and developing your tier 2 support. So we do have the tier 2 and tier 3 checklist, readiness checklist in your presentation. That's sort of like our Christmas gift to you. Merry Christmas and you're welcome. And then we have finally our post-event. That's right. We have all these things, but I think and the most important thing is we really do want to wish you a wonderful holiday. And we thank you so much for all the things you do each and every day. As soon as you're done, thank you so much on behalf of all of us, but I know I don't have to use their voices. They have their own voice. Let us know if there's anything we can do. Yes, Hendrik.
Were you drawing any?
I don't think we were very good at that this time.
Yeah, same.
We were not good this time, so that's called stacking the deck. That's what happens at the end when we say, okay, teachers, you're supposed to have given out 30 of your high fives already and bad day. So we need to get better at that. That's something we'll work on. I am. Yeah. Can you add that Jamboard and when it's
Added it as a what?
I was gonna have the slide, but we're gonna get a copy of it.
Oh.
Jamboard.
Yeah, and actually, it's also, we put it in the note pages also in the resources at the top. Yeah, it just says Jamboard. If you click on that, it'll bring it right there.
Thank you. Yeah. Jamboard is
follow-up email.
Yeah, and actually, yeah, because you had to make a copy of the note page, we'll send it in our follow-up email.
Thank you.
Good call, thank you. Good job.